Hello, friends. My name is Dr. Wayne Vanderweer. God has given me the privilege of serving him as the Director at Large at Biblical Counseling Ministries worldwide. It is our understanding that you are interested in or have already made a commitment to serving with us as a partner ministry in our church leadership training program. That is our 4-module training program specifically designed to help pastors, and we do this kind of thing around the world. We're very, very thankful for your inquiry or your commitment to help us with this mission. And we're very thankful that this continues a long tradition of our being able to help people in various countries internationally. I thought I'd take a few minutes just now and spend some time walking you through a presentation that we've created specifically for folks like you who are interested in partnering with us. And I thought it would be helpful then for you to understand all of the parameters of the kinds of things that we are thinking about doing. So I'm going to share my screen in this way with you and then just continue to kind of walk right through this presentation and see if this can be of a help to you and maybe generate some questions that we can answer in the days ahead as we continue down this road together toward a partnership. Our ministry is, as I mentioned, called Biblical Counseling Ministries Worldwide. That reflects a fairly recent change in our name. So if you ever see materials or information that's related to a ministry called Overseas Instruction and Counseling, or short OIC, you'll know, yes, we're the same organization as we were before. We just rebranded, changed the name. So I want to just give you a moment to think about our mission statement. Here's what we do. We're strengthening churches. Our ministry has a heartbeat for local churches. Our executive director has been a pastor in several churches. I myself am an elder in our local church. We love churches. We love pastors. And so we're very thankful to be able to strengthen churches through this biblical counseling training in various places, as you will see around the world. And of course, as all Christian ministries do, we do all that we do for the glory of God. Now, just to be very, very clear, because in some cases there have been questions about what we mean by the term biblical counseling. And so by biblical counseling, at its root, at its simplest, we're just talking about the ministry, local church-based ministry of graciously, never angrily, never abruptly, applying the truths of the Bible, not man's ideas, but the truths of the Bible to the various challenges of life. And so we are a ministry committed to what is called biblical sufficiency. We are purposefully not psychological or psychiatric in our approach to thinking about man and his various struggles. We are biblical in our approach to thinking about the way man deals with the issues of life here and now. So different phrases have been used in some cases when we talk about biblical sufficiency-based soul care. We're talking about, in essence, practical theology that's personally applied. We're talking about individualized redemptive discipleship. We're talking about, in some cases, we just call it personal ministry. And at its root, it's really soul care. And so we're thankful that we do this based on that very well-used verse in 2 Timothy 2:2, where Paul is talking to his young protege and saying, the things that you have heard of me among many witnesses, we want you to commit those to faithful men who will be able to train others also. So in that one verse, 4 generations of disciples of Jesus, Paul himself, his protege Timothy, he says to Timothy, put into the vault, into the heart of other faithful men, that's the 3rd generation, these truths that I've been teaching you, and then those faithful men will be able to teach others also. That's exactly our approach to this kind of a ministry as we move generation to generation in training disciples to do this kind of soul care work. Here are pictures of some of, maybe not all of, our BCMW missionaries that serve in places around the world. We're very thankful for a really wonderful team of men and women who serve with us in various nations, and those nations are literally, as I mentioned, around the world. We have been doing these kinds of church leadership training programs now for 18 years. God has opened the door for us to then also begin graduate academic programs. We partner with seminaries in various places around the world as well. But today, we're talking with you about the first of our ministry strategy delivery systems, which is the Church Leadership Training Program. We'll leave this for a different video or a different discussion. So let me just give you an introduction then to the BCMW Church Leadership Training Program in the way that we see it now, the way that it works at this point. And let me just walk you through very clearly how this works. Our audience for this training is pastors. Now, as I said, we are a church strengthening organization. We know that we're going to be able to strengthen churches best by training the pastor of the church. And so our target audience is pastors. The way we say it is pastors and those they bring with them. So we certainly encourage a pastor to bring his wife, his elders, and their wives, church leaders in various positions, ministry leaders, including women ministry leaders. We find that around the world, it is true that more than 50% of the members of most churches are women, and they have tremendous needs as well. So we want all of the people that the pastor would like to bring to come with him, but no one can attend before the pastor or without the pastor, because this training is really focused on pastors. Think about how effective it would be if a pastor came to our training and he had a cadre of people from his church who, as they learn what he is learning, are all set to work with him and strengthen him in the work of soul care in the context of the church. This is be a very, very powerful thing. We find also that around the world, most of the soul care needs, most of the issues of struggle land on the desk of the pastor. The pastor, whether he is full-time or bivocational, can easily be overwhelmed by the amount of soul care, the amount of counseling that he must do. And he may feel ill-equipped to do this kind of work. And we know that he well may be ill-equipped because in his formal theological education, in his schooling, he has perhaps never even had a course or a way to think about how to help struggling fellow believers, how to help a married couple that is considering divorce or really struggling, people with anxiety or depression or other kinds of ailments. The pastor may not be equipped to do that. And so that's what our equipping is about, what our church leadership training program is about. But we also don't want the entire load of all of that soul care to fall solely on the pastor or the pastor and his wife. So if there was a team of folks, some men, some women, who can come alongside and work with others in the church, we think God would be pleased with that kind of a soul care team in each of the churches. Now, our church leadership training program is 4 modules. Each of those modules is 3 or 3.5 days. We work with the partner to be able to work on the specific schedule. And we have had a wide variety of schedules for these. Most typically, our schedule is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, of a week to get the 3 days in. Sometimes we have been requested to start on Wednesday evening, so it's more like 3.5 days. And sometimes we've been asked to do other days of the week, and we are willing to work with our potential partners to be flexible on that issue. The key is we need to have enough time to do all of the lectures, all of the sessions in the modules, and that's going to take roughly 3 days of time. We also hold these modules approximately every 6 months. But again, we work with our partners. BCMW is not the kind of a ministry that comes in and dictates to our host pastor or our host group of pastors what we think you must do. We are very aware that in different cultures, there are different perspectives on the use of time, on the days of the week, or on the spacing of these modules. We had one country that came to us and said, hey, could we have the 4 modules in February, in June, in November, and then again the next April? Our answer was absolutely. If your participants can accomplish what needs to be done between the modules, sure, we will work with you. But approximately every 6 months is our normal spacing. It's also important for you to know that the cost to have the module is determined by you, not by us. We charge nothing, we receive nothing. We come to you as missionaries, as I'll make clear a little bit later, and we expect nothing. So the costs that will be involved in doing a program like this, which again, I will discuss in a few minutes, which might include, like, for example, printing the materials, some new technology, perhaps, I don't know, microphones, whatever cost is going to be incurred by the potential partner, by you, can simply be the basis on which you make a charge, make a registration fee. And truthfully, I've done these kinds of things in many nations all over the world for all of nearly 2 decades. And the truth is, I never know what the registration fee is for any module of one of our CLT programs. I don't have to know. It's literally none of my business because, as it says, we don't charge you anything and we don't take anything. We don't receive anything from you as we do this work. All right, specifically, what are the 4 modules? Each of the 4 modules answers a basic question about biblical counseling. Sometimes we call these the journalist's questions. So the first module just answers the question, biblical counseling, what is it? And in module 1, we are going to be defining what we mean when we talk about a biblical sufficiency-based model of personal ministry. And we're also going to talk about what we mean when we talk about the nature of personal spiritual growth. How does a person change? Because we're going to be working with struggling fellow believers that will need to change, and we want to talk about how that change takes place. We're going to do that in Module 1. In Module 2, we're going to answer the question, how do you do biblical counseling? And we have a proprietary 7 key element process model, and we're going to be teaching that process model to all of the pastors and those they bring with them. And we're also going to talk about some procedural aspects of this, like who should you counsel, and when should you counsel, and where should you counsel, because these very practical matters are important for pastors as they think about engaging in this kind of personal soul care. Module 3 builds on modules 1 and 2 to answer the question, well, how do we address the specific problems that are being experienced by our people right now? How do we address those from a biblical perspective? We work with the partner. So if you're a partner with BCMW, we will be working with you And as early as the first module, but certainly before we leave after the second module, we're going to be asking you the question, okay, Pastor, what are the issues here in this culture among your people? What are you hearing? Is it primarily one thing, or is it primarily a different kind of thing? What are you hearing? And then we'll give you a list of proposed or possible topics from which to choose. But maybe it's something that's not on our list in your particular place, in which case we will custom design the curriculum of Module 3 for you, for your culture, and for your circumstance. And then in Module 4, this is really focused on the pastors. In Module 4, we're going to be talking about how you transplant what you have been hearing and practicing through these first 3 modules. How the short version is, how do you begin a biblical soul care team in your local church? Because this is the goal. Churches are various sizes, some quite small, some quite large. A very small church may have just a few people involved in a biblical soul care team. A very large church may have dozens of folks that need to have the training and that need to be involved in the lives of others. And of course, what we want to do is share with the pastor how he can spearhead, or in his church, assign someone who has been coming with him to spearhead the biblical soul care team, to continue the training, to train even others. And then we actually anticipate that what will happen is that other pastors from other churches will also be interested in what is happening at your church. And we want pastors that are equipped to be able to train other pastors to be able to do this kind of biblical soul care ministry. And so Module 4 specifically aimed at the pastors. Now, what about the ladies who are coming? The answer is we are developing now a Module 4 for women, so that when we get to Module 4, we'll have the men, the pastors, the elders, the deacons, the teachers in one area working with our team. And then we'll have women who are very specifically well-trained in biblical counseling, and they'll be in a separate location with the ladies talking about biblical soul care issues that are directly related to women. So Module 4 is a kind of a big crescendo in this whole thing. When we're all done, we will ask you, the partner, to design a culturally appropriate certificate of completion, and we'll have a little graduation ceremony. And we're glad to say congratulations to all those who finished the program. But now this comes with a very clear warning. The warning is this. This is not a seminar or a conference or a series of seminars or a series of conferences. No, rather, our church leadership training program is actually a training program. It's an on-site, multi-modular, curriculum-driven, strategic, objective-focused pastor and church strengthening biblical counseling training program. In other words, Module 1, and then we have Module 2. It builds on Module 1. And we learned this many years ago, that if people do not come to Module 1, they will not really understand what's happening in Modules 2 and 3. And so this is not just a series of meetings. This is actually a training program. And having said that, here is the way it works. When we come to your location for Module 1, I will, or one of our coordinators will say, hey, this is Module 1. We are so glad you are here, pastors. Thank you for bringing people with you. Guess what's going to happen? At the end of Module 1, we're going to give you what we call projects for growth. These are assignments that you are going to be required to do between Module 1 and Module 2. And again, if there's about 6 months, believe me, it is plenty of time to do it. We have had programs where they have wanted to do it within 4-month time spans, still plenty of time to do it. Don't worry about that. And pastors, if you do, and if your people do the assignments, the projects for growth, then you will be allowed to return. But if you do not do the assignments, then you will not be allowed to return. Because again, this is not a series of classes, a series of seminars. This is actually a training program where one thing builds upon the previous thing. After module 2, you guessed it, projects for growth. And if you do them, you can come back. Same thing after module 3, same program. And then at the end of module 4 is our graduation. So there's going to be reading and writing and Bible study and counseling to be done in between these various modules. It's going to be a significant amount of work. And that's good because we want folks who are both competent and compassionate in the way they exercise their soul care responsibilities. Okay, I know what you're wondering. What do we do? How does all of this work? What are some of the logistics? Well, if you are prayerfully considering joining with us as a BCMW partner, then let me define for you who does what. First of all, what do we do? Our role in this is to provide teachers and teaching. And that's all. We have recognized that if this is going to take root in your culture, if this is going to spread in the churches of your culture, you are going to have to, the pastors of your culture are going to have to take ownership of this. It has to be your thing. I said to one man many years ago, in a large nation, he said, "Oh, you don't understand. When American missionaries come here, they provide everything." Well, I do understand that, and we don't do that on purpose. I looked at that man across a table and I said, "Dear brother, if BCMW had $1 million in the bank, we would not provide everything." It's not because we're not generous. I think we are, but it's because we know that the national partners and those they train need to get ownership for this. And that means sometimes a difficult investment in this process. And so let me specifically talk about what our partners provide. Our partners provide, in essence, everything else besides the teachers and the teaching. That means, let's start with just at the front end, the promotion, the marketing and the promotion, all of the preparation, choosing a facility, having an appropriate facility for the number of people. All of our coordinators will use PowerPoint, we'll use presentations from which we teach. So we'll need screens large enough to be seen by the group, whatever size the group is, and data projectors or widescreen, flat screen TVs, or some way for the participants to be able to see the material that we're going to be projecting. So we're going to have to rely on the partner for setting up the entire facility and taking care of all of those sight and sound issues. And then, of course, also to come up with and monitor and administrate the registration procedures. So how does a person get registered for our CLT program? The partner decides how that registration is to be handled, where those registrations are to go. We also ask our partner to take care of the ground transportation and the lodging and meals for our team. I see an error there. I need to change that. The BCMW team. What it means in short is that when we arrive in your area, in the city near you, then it is the responsibility of the partner to pick up our team, usually 2, occasionally 3 teachers. Sometimes that includes wives. So it could be 3 or 4, or it could be as many as 5 or 6 individuals with their luggage pick them up from the airport, take them to the place where we will be staying, and we set no requirement about the place that we have been staying. We've stayed in every imaginable kind of facility. That's not important to us. What's important is we want to train the pastors well. And then you're also responsible to care for our food during the time that we are in your care. And so transportation from our staying place to the teaching place, back and forth each day, the food that we'll be having, all of this is the partner responsibility. And besides that, if you are working in a language other than English, and that is normally the case, then we will count on the pastor to have a translation team to be able to translate the module materials, let's call them the handouts, the paper copies, which may not be paper. You can also make those available to your participants electronically. We've seen that done. That's been very effective. Just give them a website or give them a flash drive, or you can print the paper. That's fine, and give them a little booklet with all of the evacuated outline notes in it. And that would also include then the translation of the PowerPoints that we'll be using. We provide those PowerPoints to you in a format that we call prepared for translation. So there's a place on each PowerPoint slide for the national language. Underneath it is the English, and there's actually instructions about how to do this, so don't worry about that. But printed material and presentation material will need to be translated. And then if we're working in your place in a language other than English, then we'll also need competent interpreters. Now, interpreters, I've often said, interpreting is more difficult than teaching. I believe that's true because that person is thinking in two languages all of the time. And so depending on the interpreter or interpreters that you have, 2 or maybe 3 really competent, really excellent quality interpreters will be necessary so that no one interpreter has to do everything. We like multiple interpreters for the same reason that we like multiple teachers, so that we can share the load in what we're doing. And then finally, we rely on the partner to grade the submitted assignments, the projects for growth. You grade, and it's a very simple thing. Most of the places that we serve are working in a language other than English. And if that's true, and then pastors are doing their projects for growth and submitting them to the host pastor, well, obviously we don't know that language, so we can't grade them. So we ask the partner, that'd be your ministry, to have a team of people, and we can tell you how to grade these things. It's very simple. This is not academia. So we do it in a very simple kind of pass-fail way, but we want the assignments to be in on time, a time that you set, so that you have enough time to both grade the material and to send out the invitations for Module 2. And then when that is all done, then those participants who are qualified to continue as a result of their successful completion of the Module 1 projects for growth, they'll be invited to come back for Module 2 and so on. Now, I've put here a suggested scalable organizational plan. This is just some ideas. You, as the partner, get to do whatever you want. But I thought it might be helpful if we just talked about the possibility of leadership people and marketing people and logistics people in a wide variety of areas. You might even want to add to that. We've had many locations that have added to that logistics team a medical team. So they'll have a nurse or 2, or sometimes even a medical doctor standing by just in case there are medical emergencies. And in many cases, those doctors or nurses are actually coming with their pastor to be part of the training program. You'll certainly need people involved in the translation of the printed material and the presentations, a transportation team to get us from the airport to the staying place and then back and forth between our staying place and the teaching place, and then something like customer service or something like that, that would be able to be on site and ready to go to help out. Now, if you'd like more information, I do have a document that I can send you. My email address is Wayne at, you see it there, Wayne at bcmwworldwide.org. But our website, as you see, bcmwworldwide.org, our website will have lots of information about this kind of a program, who we are, what we do, where we do it in places all over the world. And we have a group on Facebook. So if you want to go to our group page on Facebook, you'll also be able to find information about things that we've done recently in various places around the world. All right, with that, I'd love to take any questions, except this isn't live, this is a recording. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to others of our team members that are listed there on our staff page on the website. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about the way this whole thing works. We're very grateful to God for what he has done through the ministry of BCMW over our first 18 years of existence. We look forward to potentially working with you in the days ahead and answering any questions that you have. We're very thankful for your interest in this work and grateful that God has allowed us to connect with you. We're already looking forward to further connections in the days ahead as God allows that to be true. Before I say goodbye, I'm just going to pray briefly. Let's just pray together. Dear Father, you are a good and sovereign and holy and wonderful God. You are a God of mercy and grace. And we recognize that we are the created thing. We are the ones who, because of what happened in Genesis chapter 3 and beyond, we are the ones who have revolted against you, we've sinned against you, and as a result, we have struggles in our lives. We live in a fallen world among fallen people, and we need answers. We know that satisfying answers will only come through the person and work of the Lord Jesus Christ and through the inerrant, infallible scripture that you've put into our hands as a guide for our lives. So here's my prayer. As we think about working together in the days ahead, would you please give your blessing to this dear pastor friend or group of pastors, whoever's watching this little recording. And would you, Father, please help them to have a burden in their souls for the souls of others who are struggling. And may you, dear Father, give us your direction as to whether or not we should be partnering together to help pastors and to strengthen churches in the days ahead in these places. All of this I ask in the name and through the blood of the Lord Jesus and for the sake of his glory alone. Amen. God bless you, friends. I'm so glad you had a chance to just listen in for a few minutes. Again, any questions, let us know, and we'll continue to pray for your ministry. God bless you.